live. It'll be up there. This. So I'll just let you know in a minute when we go live there.
It says your meeting is now streaming live on Facebook.
Yeah, it's just connecting. And then Insta's just gone live. And okay, I think we are live, but give me a sec. We're live on Insta. And a few people have just joined us there.
So the best thing for people.
Hi, Instagrammers.
Hello, Instagrammers.
I'm going to turn up our volume a bit here so they can hear us, and I'll just share. I'll tag you on well, Dizzy, you can do your introduction, I think, because this thing's just going to take a while to.
Well, good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you're listening or watching through the world. I don't know where you are, but I am your host with the most. My name is Dizzy, and for the next hour or so, I'm going to keep you busy. We're going to be talking about something that is very, very important and guaranteed to happen to everyone once they're born. It's the most, how can we put it? It's the only thing guaranteed. From the moment you are alive, the moment you're born, the one thing that happens to us all is we lose someone we love. It's going to happen to everybody. So we're going to be sharing some ideas around this, what's the word? The thing that puts everyone in a conundrum when it happens. So with that in mind, the person we're interviewing today is somebody I've known for many, 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 many years, a very dear friend of mine. And it was really funny because I said to her, I said, listen, I want to interview you. And you know what she turned around and said? She goes, well, I want you to interview me. So it was like a match made in heaven. And, you know, when I was 17, a good friend of mine, Dennis Fleming, said to me, he said, Dizzy, everything you are seeking is seeking you in return. Therefore, everything you want is already yours. All you have to do is become aware of what you already possess, and what you already possess is the truth. And the truth is, are you being honest with yourself? Are you being honest with others? And as a result of that, if everything's looking for you and you're looking for it, then effortlessly things come together like this interview today. So, Manmeet, we're going to interview you about something that is very personal and something that every human being will go through at some point in life. And that is losing your mum. Yeah, it's a big thing. And it's something I'm so grateful that I've got the opportunity to share this information, because when I first discovered John Demartini in South Africa in 2008, I pursued many, many courses, lots and lots of personal development courses, lots of human behavior courses. And it wasn't until I got to see John, and the scenario was really strange because my partner at the time, she said, listen, why don't you go and do this speed reading course? This guy from The Secret's doing it. So I said, okay. She goes, you might be able to get some kind of proper job, you know, instead of talking for a living. Anyway, so I flew from Cape Town to Johannesburg. Thursday morning, I went for John Demartini's speed reading seminar. And in the beginning, he told me we assess how many words a minute you read. And I was at 45 words a minute. I'd read 4 books in 16 years. Some kind of proper job, you know, instead of talking for. And then at the end of the session, after 2 hours, I was reading 450 words a minute. And John taught me how to read from my stomach, okay? So at the end of that session, I said, mate, what the hell are you? Right? What have you done? What have you done to me? The 450 words a minute in 2 hours, you times 10. I had the biggest multiplication. So I said to him, look, what do you do? And in his own words, he said, well, if you'd like to spend 24 hours with me, I have a program this weekend called the Breakthrough Experience. Saturday, Sunday, you can spend 24 hours with me. So I was like, yeah, sign me up, sign me up, sign me up, quick, quick, quick. That was on a Friday. Sorry, that was on a Saturday, Sunday. I was in Johannesburg on different reasons. There was somebody I actually hated before I went into the workshop, to the point where I was willing to risk going to jail for what this individual had done. Not just for myself, but lots of people that I cared about. Anyway, he refused to meet me on Friday. So Saturday morning, I went into the breakthrough. And one of the things that John said is, write on this form something that annoys you or something you have hatred towards. And I put this individual's name Saturday morning. By Saturday night, I had nothing but love and gratitude for this individual. And I wish that my children have the qualities and traits that he has. That to me was an absolute game changer. So I got on the phone to Manmeet. I said, listen, I don't care what you're doing. You need to go and see this guy called John Demartini. And ladies and gentlemen, 14 years later, this has become the focus of Manmeet's work. So I'm really grateful that you've taken on this work and spreading the word. And you're not just spreading the word. You can if you know Manmeet, you know she's doing it. So Manmeet, it's an absolute pleasure and honor to be interviewing you and to be interviewing about something so sensitive and something so real for everybody who's listening. So thank you very much, Manmeet.
Dizzy, thank you for a great introduction. I'll never forget that phone call you gave me, because it changed the course of my life. But I truly believe that what this one experience alone, the biggest challenge in my life, if it wasn't for that phone call and me following through on the tools and, putting into practice all those years of work, I would definitely be an emotional wreck. We say, as you said earlier in the introduction, everyone goes through it. It's inevitable. And the messages I've got, it's, everybody's like, it's the hardest thing, and I'm not denying it is, but I can tell you now that it's what I think. My mum passed on the 18th of February. We did her funeral on the 5th of March. To do this interview so soon, I don't think I would be in action for anything. I think I would be in reaction and under my duvet with a big Haagen-Dazs, bucket, and not be wanting to come out for sure. So first of all, I share it with so many people. You were the individual who introduced me to Dr. John Demartini, and for that I will forever remain grateful to you. So thank you, Dizzy, very much.
I had to share because when you find something that's so awesome, I mean, look, the fact that we're all going to lose somebody we love, and the question is, how do you react to that? How do you respond to it? And what's the understanding? Because right now it's a subject that most people don't want to talk about. It's funny, at the time when I was in South Africa and I learned about John Demartini, there was a craze of life coaches. And at that time, I got held at gunpoint. And I thought, why don't I become a death coach? Because if you want to get your life in order, the fastest way of doing it is looking at death. Because death brings everything to the surface, So, and the purpose of this call is to help you share with the world how you can turn a tragedy into transformation. Because it's crazy if you say this, that people don't actually leave, they just change form. And I'm sure you're gonna, with your expertise, because I know you've been working with John for many years, and you have nailed it as far as doing the workshops. So
I try. I don't know about that, but yes, there's always room for improvement.
there's always room for improvement, but you're doing it. You know, you're not somebody who's talking about it. You're taking action. And I know people personally that have gone through the grief process with you, and they've all said it's amazing and it helps. And it's something that every single person that's on this call today, you're going to experience it, whether it be your parents or somebody very, very close to you. It's a guaranteed event. And in order for it to not be a train smash, once you understand the magic of life and how there is a divine order and what's the word? There is a purpose, and there is something that's highly organized behind everything, and it's only got your best interests at heart every single time.
Yeah.
So I'll leave it to you now, Manmeet. Tell us. I mean, obviously, I know you, and I know your mum, and how much of a close relationship you had. And when somebody's got such a close relationship, you would imagine the impact would be devastating. So how is it possible that you're not a shivering wreck after all this time?
Well, I think the first thing that you just said is that, my relationship with my mum was quite close. Well, I can tell you it wasn't like that always. And in fact, the first breakthrough experience I did was on my mum. And so although, I didn't have somebody that, Dr. Demartini has said to you and says that every breakthrough experience, pick somebody you have the most amount of resentment towards, or somebody you'd love to have more of a loving relationship with. And I knew that my mom and I were at that stage in our lives where there wasn't I'd say an inspiring relationship. It was a very reactive type of relationship. I'd go off the handle with certain things. I wouldn't understand her priorities. She'd want to change me, and, you need to do more of this. And there was just a lot of projections of priorities on each other as a mother-daughter. And, having done work along the way, there was a transformation in our relationship. I shared one Wisdom Wednesday it's probably about 3-4 weeks ago now, of my mum speaking on stage with me, which was one of the most inspiring moments I had that I will never forget. She shared the stage and she shared how our relationship had transformed. It was on Mother's Day. And, she shared how she's learned how not to project her priorities onto me and realize that I'm on a mission, and how that's really impacted our relationship. And also realize that when I'm dedicated to what's important, it's my love for her as well. And she's seen how she was serving all the people I was serving indirectly too, because she was taking care of my food, of course. So what mom's cooking was like this. So
Yes.
So yeah, it wasn't always like that, but we very much had a very loving relationship. I was talking to a friend of mine earlier today, and I said, when we think about our soulmate, because we know nothing is missing, my soulmate would oscillate between my mom being in the one and taking in a lot of the traits I'd be looking at for in a partner. And then if somebody came in as the partner, then she'd go take on a few less traits. So she was a pivotal part, and is in a different form now, of my life. It's been huge going through this. I was basically, I came back I'd gone to Dubai for some work, and I came back and I isolated at my brother's house for a little while before I came home. So I'll go into a little bit about how this all happened, and how the transformation journey for her started. Because I know some people have had some questions. How did she go? And I know a lot of people go, oh, did you come back from Dubai and give it to her? It's been one of the conversations that has happened as well. So, we did everything we could to keep it out of the house. So you could say this is human will fighting divine will, thinking we know better. And, you know, but it was going to come into the house no matter how it came. There's a few things that could have happened. You know, she obviously did a food shop. She had, you know, deliveries coming into the house. You know, all these kind of things that happened at the time that we don't know where she caught COVID from. It's too, you know, it's just, you will never know where that came from. And so when I was at my brother's, I did a COVID test to come home, and the result came on her birthday on the 15th of January. And so I said to my brother, I said, well, it's come negative, like, you know, should we go home? It's mom's birthday. And he said, yeah, okay, cool, let's go. So we went home, and she was already showing some signs and symptoms of COVID. But my mom and I just thought it was a cold. My brother was very on it and was like, no, these are symptoms, you know, you need to isolate. So mom was just like, no, I think it's just a cold. We'll see what happens. Anyway, that was on the 15th. By the 16th, you know, we'd got my dad, 16th, 17th, we got her isolated at my brother's house now. My brother had COVID in December, which is why we could, you know, go and isolate it. But he got over that, and I could isolate at his, and then mom went over to his. Now, most people only know that I went through the grief of my mum. But actually, what I was dealing with at the time as well was a surrogate father of mine, which happens to be my best friend's dad, was also in hospital. And on the 18th of January, he transcended. And on the 18th of January, my mum went into hospital. So this was a bit of a double-edged sword, because my best friend and I, you know, our lives tend to run parallel. And I said to her, I said, you know, our lives run parallel. And she said, I'm just praying that this is the very thing that doesn't run parallel for us. And 18th of January, mum went in, and to the month, 18th of February was when she transcended. But not going so much into the ins and outs, let's just say 2 weeks she was in. She was doing well, but, you know, she was conscious in the 2 weeks that she was there. In those times, we were able to communicate with her, do video calls and things like that. You know, the only thing that I think we obviously really were missing was seeing her, you know, in person. And the only thing that we could do was video calls. And then she went, you know, she deteriorated and therefore went into ICU. I remember speaking to her before that, and she's like, well, what is this ICU? You know, and I had to explain to her what that was. And it was just a conversation between me and her. And I felt really, that was one conversation I felt very connected with. And I just said to her, I said, Mom, if you choose that that's the way that you'd like, there are some benefits and there are some drawbacks of ICU. And I said, the benefits are that you're not having to do the work. The drawbacks are that you're not having to do the work because your body's doing it. So therefore, like, you know, you're not having to do it. But it was very interesting, let's just say. But anyway, she went into ICU, and within about a few days of her being in ICU, we actually were called in. It was about 3 or 4 days. And again, not many people know this, but 3 or 4 days into it, we were told, you might as well come and see her. She's not going to last the night. She's had an internal bleeding. And so if we operate, well, it wasn't an operation, it was like something, I can't remember what it's called, but radiation something. So it was like a treatment they needed to do. But they said, she's very weak. So if we do the treatment, she'll die on the table, possibly. If we don't do it, she's going to die anyway. So they were giving us the scenario of, is it lose-lose situation? And then at the time, just to share with you what emotions were coming up and what was happening at the time, it was a Sunday morning. We'd just done the global prayers on the Saturday. So we had over like 200 people on these global prayers for my mum. And we were able to get an iPad into, you know, the hospital and then have her join. And so, you know, anyway, whether you're conscious, unconscious, you know that there's a level that things start to go onto the unconscious mind. And she was there. She was present with us, and it was so beautiful, Diz, because I think you were on it as well. Jay,
Yeah.
your wife was on it as well, and it was an opportunity that when I opened the floor up, I said, okay, if anybody'd like to speak to Mum, she's here. You know, she won't be answering you back, but speak to her whatever you'd like to say. And literally the screen just went, like, everyone was shouting, hi auntie, you know, get well soon, hi auntie, hi Prajaiji, like sister, and you know, Bobby and all this. Everyone was just shouting their loving messages to her, and I just had tears. Like, first of all, I was overwhelmed with how many people showed up to the prayers, you know, because it was just so loving, firstly. And I just thought, my mum loves this, you know. And I really felt that my mum, you know, at that moment being present with us, I know she was going, wow, you know, I'm the reason that these people have come together to do prayers, you know, because praying and spirituality and Sikhism was very, very high in her priorities. So so it was the day after that we got called in. You know, and by the way, I did say this on the prayers as well. My mum was a really firm believer. You don't pray for things to go your way. You know, you pray
Unconditionally.
Yeah, you pray and give thanks for whatever is happening, you know. And I was very clear with that. And I know that the fact that we did the prayers with that intention, and then the next day, like, we got called in, you know, obviously that thing does still come. It's like, oh man, we just prayed for this, you know, yesterday, how can this be happening? That emotion definitely came up, you know. And a friend of mine sent me a prayer to do on that day, and I wasn't too sure how to, you know, go through it. And I thought, right, well, if Mum's going to transcend, there are certain things that I'm sure now, and even when she'd gone into ICU, I was starting to see people show up in my life, take on a few, you know, traits here and there. But I think it started to become more reality when they said, you know, she's not gonna make it. And so I said to another friend of mine, I say, hey, can you come online? I want to go through these prayers, you know, and I'm not too sure. We couldn't find it on YouTube. And anyway, he brings his mum on, and his mum prays exactly like mine.
Wow.
And she comes on, the way she breathes through the prayers, the words of wisdom she was giving me. I felt the presence of my mum talking to me, you know, through her. And so I did the prayers, and then we got the call, right, come in now. You know, 4 o'clock, I think 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon, it's like, come in now. Then you come there, and then it's me and my brother. My two brothers are there, and they say, well, only one of you can go in. So now comes the emotion of who goes in. So, you know, my brother said, well, Mum was with me the last few days before coming into hospital. Why don't you go in? And I said to him, because I gave him the option, I said, if you go in, you video call us so we can all speak. And he goes, I'm not going to be in a state to do that. So I knew that I could do that and hold that together for the family and make sure that everybody was able to talk to her. So we all went in. I mean, I went in and did the video call, and everybody was able to speak to her. And when they spoke to her, we were all just saying, you know, make it through, get better. No one was really speaking like she was leaving or anything like that, you know. But when they got off the call, I had my time with my mum. And I'm going to share some of that conversation I had with her. And I just, I said to her, Mum, just know that whatever you decide to do today, from what you're about to go through, the procedure you're about to go through, I said, whether you choose to stay or whether you choose to go, just know that I love you. And I really, as I said that, unconsciously, like, so she had a tear in her eye. So I knew she could hear me. And I just, I basically also said to her, I had a few jokes with her. I said, I know you think you're being clever and showing me your forms. I said, but I'm going to be selfish and say, I want your form, you know? And I could hear, you know, just being present with her, just that the laugh that was there. Anyway, you know, that part, she made it through. And you know, she fought through the bleeding. They managed to stop it, and we thought, great, you know, she's on the mend. She's gonna make it through, and because she's gone over the biggest part. I think we all thought that. My brother was the one who was dealing with all the calls from the doctors, you know, and so he would basically let us know what they'd said. And I think that was a very difficult role he took on. And also because after my mum got COVID, my dad got COVID, and I got COVID as well. And my dad being 89, you know, again, anything I'm sharing is just my own personal experience, my personal beliefs. It's not to say what right cure there is or anything like that. And, you know, but my dad had just gone through radiation treatment for cancer and had been on very strong, high vitamins, not the ones that you just get off the shelf, but, you know, some that we consulted somebody to get. And so for his immune system at 89 on paper, you know, it would be shit's hit the fan kind of thing, you know. So we were very worried as well about him, which is why we were getting mum to isolate, you know, but obviously he got it. And, you know, so my brother took on that role basically of, you know, taking on all the calls and everything from the doctors, and then I was looking after dad. So I think you go through those emotions for sure, and you're like, one, two, or none, because you're asking the question, who's going, who's not, who's staying, you know. There's just that uncertainty. And I have to say, trying to, as much as I teach this to, you know, everybody else, and hold that space of, you know, divine order, that is not always in your thoughts. In terms of when you're emotional, you're not thinking of the divine order. You're thinking selfishly, I want my parents to stay, and I don't want anything to happen to my parents. But see, the thing is here with all the emotions and stuff, and why, you know, I'm not a wreck as well, is it's that choice, right? The choice of how long do we want to stay in emotion, and who are we really being when we're stuck in that emotion. And so yeah, I mean, she basically you know, made it through. And then it was about another week and a half. We continued some prayers. A surrogate brother of mine in India, Jaswinder, did some prayers for her in India. And interestingly, the cloth that was sent to us from India didn't arrive while she was alive, but arrived in time for a funeral. And we had it wrapped around the coffin, actually. But it was beautiful, like, you know, again, him doing things over there as a surrogate son, you know, again, all these prayers that mum would have absolutely loved. So yeah, then it just, you know, it was up and down, calls, whatever. And then within the last 24 hours of my mum's life, I kind of shared this with you yesterday, or well, a couple of weeks ago, whatever it was, the last 24 hours, they were difficult. They were very difficult. And the other thing is, like, bombarded by calls and texts by people who love her, worried about her, you know. So I did my utmost best trying to keep everybody updated, you know. I didn't, and the thing is, I know some people are like, oh, you know, I know I'm annoying you, but, and I was trying my best, and people were saying to me, don't worry about replying to messages. And I was like, no, because they're just as worried as we are, you know. And that last 24 hours, I just kind of let it be, you know, didn't really tell people, just said she stayed with until we were told, okay, any minute now, kind of thing, you know. We weren't sure. So we got called in on the 17th, on the Thursday, about 10:30. And again, we went in. So it was my two older brothers and myself. We went in, and we met her, we spoke. We were still talking about, Mum, just get better, just get better. We were just saying that. Nobody was saying goodbye. No one was saying thank you, you know, for anything. They were just saying, Mum, just get better, get better, get better. Anyway, she we were told basically that day, that after that meeting, they said the next call you can expect is probably going to be that she's gone. And my brother then at that time told the doctor to change the number. He didn't want to take that call. And I said, that's fine, put my number down. And then we were called again around 4 o'clock just to say, she's got a few hours. And we're like, okay. But they still asked, would you like to come and see her? And we thought, yeah, I mean, they're giving us another opportunity. And this time we took my dad. And, we made sure he was completely PPE'd up, because you have to by then he'd done his isolation. He had got much better over the COVID, and we took him along. And I feel like that was one of the reasons that Mom was hanging on, was to see Dad. He got to say a couple of things to her, but we still went at 4 o'clock, and we were saying in the morning, we were like, make it through. Now, when we came back from that, so what my mum would usually do is 7:30 in the morning, she would come down from bed and she would put on prayers live from India on the TV. My dad and I may be sleeping or whatever. We used to go for a walk as well, but whatever, this was her and her time. It just naturally happened that we went back, into the house. My brothers are with me, my dad, and I just put the TV on and I just put that channel on, and not even a second thought for it. And then we talked. We were talking about what was going on and what the update was. And then it just hit me. I was like, whoa, there's 4 of us listening to these prayers that my mom alone would be listening to at this time. And so I was starting to see that transition happening. But, to the degree, for example, my mom's belief in spirituality and Sikhism, there's 4 of us, that would equal that. And just seeing that was like, whoa, this is really, I'd say, important. And then we were given a few things, and I was given her nose stud by the nurse, who said, can you take this and the iPad? We can't keep looking after the iPad because we'd given it to the prayers. So sure. So when we came back from the hospital, like showered and everything, and I went into the prayer room, and when I put the nose stud down, but when I went into the prayer room, I did my, connection with the divine, just start, for strength, and whatever the divine chooses, I know will work either way for her and us. And I went into my room again, and it was like the nose stud was literally like saying, put me on. Now the nose stud, I'll just show you, is quite big. And my natural one that I usually wear is a very small, like one diamond. And this is quite, and I know my mom had said before, oh, you wear mine. I'm like, no, Mom, yours is big. And it just called me to wear it. And it was just this like, energetic pull. And when that happened for me, I knew she was going. Because for me, someone's got to wear the nose stud. And if
you're wearing it now.
I'm wearing it now, yeah. I'm wearing the set, but I knew that for it to pull me, I was like, and I went, okay, Mum. And those 2 weeks, first of all, in her ICU, they were mind blowing for me, because she taught me how to non-locally connect with her for not just one moment, many moments. And, again, when we know that when there's no past and there's no future and you're just present, whether there's somebody, you can feel the presence of someone, whether they're dead or alive. But in that moment, she wasn't dead, she was alive, but I couldn't contact her or speak to her in a normal way that you and I are today. So that non-local thing that Einstein talks about, like, I experienced to another level.
Spooky action at a distance, yeah?
Yeah. Yeah, I was having like conversations with her. And the funny thing is that even when we were in the hospital, my brother and I had a moment where I said, I think, she's had enough. And she said the same to me. And in Punjabi, you know, she goes, "Bahut ho gaya." He goes, and he said those words to me, and those were exact words I heard from my mum. So, you know, you can go, "Oh, is that a coincidence? Is that we know a mum?" No, it's like at the time, if you're just really present, which my brother and I were there, and we were quiet. He wasn't like some. There was moments where we were just sitting in silence, connecting with her, and those moments were so powerful. So the last visit then happened around, I think it was 12 o'clock in the afternoon. We came to see the consultant, and I think this was very hard for us, for me and my brother. It was only then me and Paul that went. And the doctor asked us, because we were there and it was going to be a matter of hours, would you like to turn the machines off? And I know my heart sank. Paul got quite emotional as well, and just, you know, he was very much like, is there not something we can do? Can we do this? And he was, you know, obviously, you know, we're trying to do every single thing we can. And when the doctor said that to us, and he, you know, then he turned to me, Paul turned to me and just said, "What do you want to do?" And I said to the doctor, and I said, "Well, I do have some beliefs around this." And I just said, because the reason they asked if we want to switch the machines off is they said, "Look, you can either switch the machines off while you're here, so she can pass while you're here, or she may pass when you're gone, and then you're not here, you know." Which in normal circumstances, not under COVID, you'd be able to sit with the individual the whole time. So they had limited time. And I just said to the consultant, and I said, "I want to leave this up to my mum. If she chooses to go with her children by her side, so be it. If she chooses to go while we are not in the room, that's also her choice. Either way, this is her choice." Now, not completely a choice, obviously working with the divine, but co-creating. You know, we've been through so many. My own aunt was one of my first experiences of death after learning this as well. But people hold on, you know, for certain things to be complete, you know. So we went into the room, Paul and I, and you know, we said our things and whatever we needed to say, and then I rang my dad. And we'd been doing video calls. This time I chose to do a normal call, and I said, "Speak to mum like it's the last time you're going to speak to her." And I just put the phone near her ear, and the machines were going, so I don't even know. I heard a little bit, like, but it was very much along the lines of, "Thank you. I love you, darling. And I'll never forget the 40 years we've spent together." And then some other stuff he said, which I couldn't really hear. And so, you know, he said that. And then I was like, "Oh, shall I call my other brother and sister to say their goodbyes?" And then I was selfish in that moment. I went, "No, I'm going to sit here and take my time with my mum rather than have to worry about who should be saying, you know, their goodbyes and whatever. I'm just, they've spoken to her. It's done. I want this now selfishly to be my time." And so I sat there, and me and Paul are sitting there, and I'm playing prayers in my mum's ears, and I'm thinking, well, you know, do I call? And my brother goes, "It's up to you." And I thought, okay, let me just call. So I call my eldest brother, and I call my eldest sister. My eldest sister, with some family dynamics, when my mum married my dad, my sister was out of the equation. She'd left the home. And my mum actually facilitated her coming back into the family again. So my sister, I don't think I've heard her in these words, you know, but expressed her gratitude to my mum and said, "Mum, you know, thank you for bringing me back into the family. I'll never forget it, and go peacefully." And then my brother, who expresses his love, the eldest brother expresses his love in his unique form. There's not much said in words, you know. And he said, "Thanks for everything you've done, Mum." And then it was just like, okay, everyone's now saying their thank yous, "I love you," you know, they were saying, he said, go peacefully. My dad had also said when he saw her, you know, if you have to go, then, you know, you go. And then I said my goodbyes as well. And I just said, I'm, you know, looking forward to seeing what you transform into, Mum, you know, all those other forms, and said my piece. And then the machine started to beep, like literally within minutes of my eldest brother and sister giving their thanks. And I was like, this is like freaky but interesting and all like emotional at the same time. And so my brother said to the nurse, what's happening? And she said, she's going. So she said she's going. I turned on the last prayers, and then had those prayers in her ears. And then within minutes, she said her heart stopped. I mean, eventually it was from COVID, it went to organ failure as it happens, but she said the heart stopped. And I was like, wow, she waited till everyone could thank her, speak to her, not tell her, because that whole like, just make it through, Mum, just get it better, just, you know, you're trying to keep her, so it's almost not, you're not letting her go as well. So she's trying to do everything she can, but the minute everybody was okay with her going, she chose to transcend. And I think once, for me, my personal experience of what happened once her heart stopped, I knew that all that was there was a physical body. And for me, I was like, let's get out of here now. I actually couldn't wait to go home to connect with her in the way that I wanted to, just one-on-one piece, you know, whatever. My brother wasn't obviously handling it very well. He's you know, was very attached to my mom, and you know, so was I. He had a very unique, different relationship. But you know, this whole thing, you know, Diz, it's just been, you know, chipping away at certain things, certain emotions that came up. You go from that moment to then at some point you go, you know, you go through your grief to go, what could we have changed? What ifs? And you still keep coming round and round to that one thing. There is nothing we could have done to interfere with the divine. And although we do, you know, as humans want to make sure that people stay around, do certain things, and, you know, I went through the emotion, well, why not any other family member? Why not me? Why not my brother? Why not my dad? Why my mom? You know? And having to work through that. And I mean, some of these things I'm saying, some people are going to be shocked by, but you know what? I'm being real and raw and saying, yeah, I thought, why not my dad? Why not my brother? Why not me? Why not anybody? Why did it have to be her? You know? And I would lie to say I didn't have those questions. Of course I did. And I actually looked at all those people I thought who could have gone and said, well, if they went, what would the drawback to my life have been to go now? And I reached this moment, and I was like, that moment I had with my coach, because listen, let me get raw. I did not work on all of this myself, you know. Because when you're going through this, like, just as I help other people go through things and I'm being their coach, I have a coach too. And, you know, leading up to Mum's passing, I was like, I must have a weekly session with you, because there's stuff coming up every week. That was Mum while Mum was alive. And then, you know, it was only till recently that then became bi-weekly again. But, you know, just my heart opened to seeing how it was perfect. It was her, you know, and realizing, and literally as she passed around 3:30 on the Thursday, I did a Zoom call with her Jago Punjabi women's group, which she ran at 5 o'clock. I said, everybody get on a Zoom. And, you know, I didn't tell them the news. I just said, I'd like to give you an update on Mum. So they all jumped on. So you can imagine this, my screen's full of about 12 women now of Mum's age, some younger, some older. And as soon as I give them the news, they break down. But the message in that was, Manmeet, you're not alone. I'm your mom. This other lady's going, no, I'm your mom if you ever need anything. And then this other lady's going, no, if you know, we're going to come around today and see you and me. I'm your mom. Like, all these women now suddenly like my mom.
You've got 12 mums.
Like within 2 hours, you know, it was just like, I was in awe as I saw it, and as I was emotional, as I was seeing it. It's just like, whoa, this is, I think, transformation at its closest to home, of course, and just very, very deeply, you know. But I'm keep talking this, but, you know, ask me if there's something specific you
Okay, no,
want.
so what I wanted to say, I wanted you to finish
Yeah.
the story, because it's really important. And I think what's also is really important is for people to understand, how can this happen? As in, how can this be less traumatic than it can be? Because having somebody in your life, your mum, from the day you're born, you know, if you have that bond, which you had a clear bond with your mother. She wasn't just your mother; she was your friend.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
she's my best
she
friend.
played many roles in your life.
Absolutely,
And,
yeah.
and the thing is, when people are so attached, and this event happens, it can devastate them. Okay, now like I said, I work with John, and he does the loss process, and he actually said in the breakthrough how when his wife passed away, and I remember this is my first ever breakthrough, and I was like, oh my God, you are an absolute gangster, mate. Wow. Nobody has ever said this before. But he said how after his wife passed, and this is the part that people may find hard to believe, because when you miss your mum or your dad, you're only missing their physical form. Okay. However, John said himself, he goes, look, what happens when you miss somebody? What is the part of the thing what is it that you're actually missing? And when he breaks it down, and he said, well, you're missing the way they make you laugh. Okay. And if you were to put down all the things that the person you love, all the things that they did with you, you will find the moment they leave, somebody else will replace that person, in not in totality, but John said, he said immediately after she passed, the next morning, the woman that lived opposite him said, oh, should we go for a walk? And every morning he'd go for a walk with his missus on the beach. So once you understand that there is a higher order here, and you realize that there's a process. So why don't you share some of the things? Because if somebody's never experienced any of John's work, never seen any of that, what are the baby steps to say, well, listen, this is what you think you're missing, but when you see that it's turning up in a different form, which is why you call it transformation, just elaborate on that small process, because I think it's really important for people to understand that if you think you've lost something, you're going to feel a loss. But if you understand that, listen, you never lose, you never gain, you always have everything all the time, it just changes form. So please elaborate on that, because I understand it, you understand it, but I don't know how many people are listening to this. And I think it's really valuable, because a lot of people have lost people recently, you know, and it's not just, it's something that everyone's going to go through regardless of COVID. You know, COVID has made it more prevalent and more conscious for people. But give us some, elaborate on how it changes form, because that's the miracle.
It's really transformational. But I mean, the loss process itself by Dr. John Demartini, I'm absolutely grateful that having a tool like this, allowing people to overcome loss in a matter of hours, guaranteed 100%, as long as someone's willing to work with you. I have never seen that before. In fact, many people haven't. That's why the process has even been researched and by a university in China. And You know, years later, people were not grieving after going through the process. So my mum did this process while she was alive. And she was grieving my nanny, so my mum's mum, for 60 years. She could not speak about my nanny without crying, Diz. And anytime she talked about any conversation that would come up about her, she'd just break down. So very emotional. 60 years on, she still, because she lost her mum at the age of 5. In her perception, she was like, I never had a mum. And she did the process with one of my very close colleagues and friend, Helen. And when she did the process with her, she went into, I had my office at home at the time. My best friend, Shofra, and I were sitting in the living room. She went into the room. 2 hours later, she walks out. I swear to God, my best friend and I just looked at each other and went, you look 10 years younger. And that's because it was all the emotion she was holding, you see, because when you have a one-sided perception, it speeds up the aging process. So when she got balanced about it, so I said, so how do you feel, Mum? And she goes, I was never missing my mum. And she was like, I always had my mum around me. She was just in all these different forms I never recognized. And I'm grateful she passed when I was 5. And I was like, whoa, you know, and
What's the spin on it when people say stuff like that?
yeah, because we're taught in society, you know, you've got to grieve, you've got to cry for, you've got, I mean, most of our spiritual kind of teachings and things that they're like, you know, 40 days you've got to cry for, actually cry for, not even like you can't do that, but you've got to cry every single day, you know, and show grief. Anyway, so she did that, and that was in 2017, and she came literally like, you know, right up to me, and she said to me, I want you to promise me something. And I said, yeah. Like looking at her going, okay. And she said, when I die, I want you to do this process so you never miss me. And I want you to feel me, and I'm getting chills as I say, I want you to feel me around you always. And, you know, she would say certain things as well, like, well, after that was 2017, and until today, you know, when I'm gone, traveling, when I'm traveling for work or anything, she'll go, oh, your friend showed up and she was taking on that part of you that, you know, you would usually do. So she was seeing it and then getting me to see it, that actually there's nothing ever missing. So the thing that whether we experience loss of a relationship, loved one, business, money, whatever perceived loss we have, we only ever perceive we've lost something when we're infatuated with it. And that is, anytime I've done the process with other people, or I've asked myself, what do I miss about my mum? I can tell you the things I do not miss about her are the perceived bad, negative things, right? It's always going to be the perceived positive and infatuated things that I'm going to be missing. So, you know, like, okay, my chats with her late at night, and, you know, her advice, and, you know, her talking about certain topics with me that I wouldn't talk to other people about, her watching TV with me, her watching films with me, you know, all of those things that I admire and that I liked, that I only saw one side to, that was only ever positive, are the things that I'm going to miss, because there are only 2 forms of grief in our life. We either grieve something when we lose it because we're infatuated with it, or we grieve something when we gain it because we resent it. Either way, we're like, either, oh no, it's gone, or oh no, this is coming. Either way, we're just grieving those 2 things. So, because there are people out there, Diz, that have lost people that they didn't like, they didn't, you know, they resented, and they go, thank God they've gone, right? Which is true. Yeah. So everybody doesn't grieve, you know, specific traits in people that they don't like. So one of the first questions that we ask, you know, to understand that energy is never destroyed, it's only transformed. And to access that, that's great. It's in a lot of spiritual teachings, there's a lot of religious teachings. But what do you do with that information when someone dies? Well, the one question that we can use to access that is the moment that individual passed, who, in the form of one or many, male or female, close or distant, started to take that on. And as you said earlier, it may not be one for one. It may be many people. Now, as you said, I was very close with my mom. So there were a lot of people that needed to show up to level out that field, but it would be quantitatively equal.
Yeah.
And so when I looked at, obviously during COVID, there was no hugs. So, and my mom and I used to like hug, now and again, or there'll be joking hugs, I'd come and hug her from behind, but so many virtual hugs, right? But now everybody goes, oh, well, but that's not the same. But if I was to quantify on a scale and put all those virtual hugs and then put my mom's hugs on the scale, they would equal. So now I can look at that and go, yeah, but it's not my mom, or go, wow, Mom, I see you in this individual that sent me a virtual hug. I see you in this individual that sent me a hug. You're there. How can I be missing that? And then there came a lot of, and look, I want to make, as I said, this interview is going to be raw. Like, please don't be under the illusion that I literally lost my mom and I went, oh, okay, yeah, I can see her. I did it. No, I went through my emotions. I let them come. I cried my eyes out to my best friends, I cried my eyes out to my dad. I hugged a pillow and cried with the pillow, my mom's pillow at one time, really attached to keeping her bedding as well, thinking, oh, that's the last bedding that, she stayed in and stuff. And all of that emotion was there. But I just knew, you can't, I was saying to you yesterday, right? We can't undo what we know.
True.
So, because once you know this, it's too hard to go, I'm going to sit here crying now because my mom's gone, and that's not to say that if you do, it's wrong or right. It's just my choice. It's what I decided to do. There are people out there who are grieving in a different way, and that's not to put you guys wrong, to say you're doing it the wrong way and I'm doing it the right way. I'm just sharing what's possible if you're willing to work at it like I have. And so I just saw these things transformationally happening, even to the point I was like, oh, me and her used to watch these dance programs on Indian TV, Indian dance programs. And while I was preparing for like the funeral stuff, I would have that on, and my dad would just come and sit down and watch it with me. And my dad was not really interested in watching those things. He'd rather be in watching the football, And I was just like, oh, this is really weird. Something really silly as I would, I leave my, if I've eaten, but I'm watching a TV program, I leave my plate just on the side. My dad would never pick it up. My mum would be the one. I was like, Mom, you know how you do that? Mom, just leave it. I'm getting up in a minute. And no, I'm going to the kitchen. My dad started taking it. And I was like, Dad, what are you doing? And I think the biggest thing that most people know is that my mum cooked a lot for me. So that definitely was something I admired and lost and felt that I was grieving the most. But the food that poured in from everywhere the moment she passed, and I'm not even going to say the moment she passed, it actually started from when she was in hospital. So when she stopped cooking for me because she went to hospital, food started arriving, and even a dish that I had from someone tasted exactly like hers as well. So I started to see that, and also I took on some of that trait, because even though there was other things, Dizzy, that I went through that I was really missing in my mum, and I really couldn't find them outside. But I forgot that actually we can take on the traits as well. Yeah, because it's the form of one or many, but we are a part of that many. So the moment a very good friend of mine, Antonio, I was doing a session with him about the bed sheets because I was so emotional about them. And I said, I can't go into that room to just take off the bed sheets and everything. And then he took me through a very inspiring session where I was able to just really look at, this is way more than just the bed sheets, right? what do I perceive I'm keeping by keeping the bed sheets? And then once he helped me through that, I realized, he said something so beautiful. He said, 39 years your mum has downloaded on you. How can you not have some of her traits? And actually, when she passed, some people were, when they were giving me their condolences, they were saying, you are a shadow of your mom. And some people were like, you are so like your mom, you don't know how much. I'm like, wow, I just forgot to even look to see that I could take on some of those traits. And when I saw that, it really, I think that was the breakthrough point for me, where I realized that I cannot ever not be her or have her with me, because a lot of her is within me now. It's been downloaded, it's been transmitted, as much as my dad's been transmitted to me too, So sometimes I'm hearing, I was saying to you today before I came here, I've gone through her clothes and everything now, and the last piece was doing the kitchen. I've reorganized the kitchen. I was literally reorganizing it until minutes before this interview to get here to the office to do it. And I said to you, isn't this perfect, that last part of organizing, whatever mum's kind of left, is right before this interview. And over time, as people were showing up as my mum, it started to concentrate down to one auntie who's really been there, her Jinnah auntie, who I love very much, and she's not even my real auntie. She's not a blood auntie. She's a surrogate auntie. And I have a couple of others as well that I call like godmother, and those people all showed up as well. But this auntie, I can tell you, rings me every day, video calls me every day, good morning. And just like my mum would before any interview, she sends me a message before this interview saying, good luck, bacha, which is exactly what my mum would say. Be confident. And then I get a message from a very good friend of mine, who my mum would usually say, have an inspiring interview, go serve many people, go have your impact. Like, mum would say these kind of things. And I have a text message that comes in from a very good friend of mine that says, I hope you're ready to serve and share your story. Welcome back. And again, when you're just seeing these parts, now you might see that transformation and you go, okay, that's great, I see that, but I still want it in the form of my mum. Now, the reason we only want it in that form is because that attachment, that, that dopamine rush that we get, because we're so elated and so infatuated, with that. Until we deal with that, we'll still want it in that form. So this bit might shock a few people, but I really did started looking at my mum's traits that I were missing. And I started asking myself, when my mum displayed those traits to me, what were the downsides? What were the drawbacks? What were the negatives? So when I think about my mum and the advice she used to give me, or the talks that we used to have, what were the drawbacks of that? Well, there were definitely, this is my advice, it wasn't like a specialized knowledge in one area. So I might ask her about something, but she may not know too much about it. The other thing is that, there was a lot more sometimes when I didn't want to talk. I still had to talk to her, if I'd had a long day at work or something, it's like, it's your mum, so you talk and then you go, oh, do I really have to talk, The other downside is that she started to say, oh, I know there are other important things in your life now. It was like she knew it, but there was a dig coming with it. So she's also then, letting me know that too. But in a fun, loving way, still. But nevertheless, I'm looking at the reality of it. It was still a dig, And once I started listing these drawbacks and downsides of some of the things, and I didn't do this, by the way, Dizzy, straight away. I didn't do the loss process straight away. And some people asked me why. And I said, because I was still dealing with a lot of guilt. And a lot of people that I've seen in my experience as well, our grief is relative to the amount of guilt we feel. Because when I had that guilt left over of what I could have done, what I should have done, what could I have changed? Should I have got her on the vitamins, for example? Why didn't I? And why did I listen to my brother and let her go to the shop, hospital again? And all these things, I had to clear them first before I could get to the loss process.
So those things are almost like baggage.
Yeah.
Luggage that you're holding on to. So a story from the past, or things that you're holding on to. If you're listening to this right now and you repeatedly talk about an experience that happened to you in the past and you identify that as you, when in actual fact, you are not your experience. It's something that happened and it's not who you are now.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if you're listening to this, think about what baggage are you carrying around with you from way back when, because it doesn't exist now.
Yeah, for sure. That's within a matter of weeks, that baggage doesn't exist now. Again, going back and forth with that, it happens, but I can absolutely say, like, and then because there's no guilt, there's a completion with my mum. There isn't anything in my relationship that I feel either she should have done or I should have done. And to the degree you feel that complete with someone, whether they are there or not, you are adaptable to. And that has been interesting, hard, a game changer, emotional, everything all put together, but a huge part of my transformation, because I'm experiencing it firsthand. So yes, there's a lot of relatability, with people now who've gone through it, but there are other forms of loss that I've gone through to help people, but of course, being so close is very different. So once I started looking at the downsides, Diz, I was like, oh, okay then. And then I was like, well, there were equal pains and pleasures in when my mum was around, and those things I miss, there were an equal amount of benefits and drawbacks. And that takes, I gotta say, like, sometimes I wanted to run the story and I was like, no, there are no drawbacks to it. Like, mum was the best that could do this, and it was only mum that could protect me, and mum could do this, But when I looked at when she did do those things and what those downsides were, I was like, okay, I see that there were equal downsides as well as upsides to when she was alive. The next piece came that when you already recognize the transformation that happens, what happens is you go, okay, that's fine. I want it in this form because I'm infatuated with that. But this new form that you've got is down like in the pit because you're not appreciating the new form you've got. So then the next question you'd ask is, well, what are the upsides and benefits of your new form that is in your life right now? Because we're never missing anything. It's always in the perfect form that we need in that moment at that time. But my illusion was, this isn't the perfect time. This isn't the perfect time for mum to go. So why is this form perfect for me?
Yeah.
It was perfect before. Why does it need to change? And then when I started to see all the benefits of how aligned the new forms were in my priorities, in my future life, currently, again, just seeing how those new forms were showing up, how much more they're allowing me to be more me, in a different form. I think I changed that more me, just me being me in a different form, because I wasn't more or less before, when mum was alive, but a very different form. Like now, I've reorganized the whole kitchen according to where I would find stuff. There's an order there, and I used to say to mum, like, what is this? She's like, I know where everything is. I'm like, that's not the point.
Who else knows?
Yeah. So there was this dependency on her as well. It's like, where is this? Where is that? I was showing my dad as I just left. I said, Dad, this is the, and he goes, oh, it's very organized now, and he knows, because I'm wanting to make him independent, to go, well, we all relied on my mom. You know, it's a bit like my friend Antonio said a great analogy. It's like when you're in a business, you have a manager, and the manager now suddenly goes. So now the team is all in chaos. There's no order, and it's about getting that order back in, because there's been chaos in the family. You know, it's like, well, whose role's what and who's doing what, and how come? Because she was the glue. You know, she was the one that put us all together and kept us in order. And you know, my dad almost delegated that role as well to her. So when I saw there was benefits of the new form, I really did ask myself, you know, those questions I kept asking. Do I miss that? Do I miss that? Now there are now I might not miss the things I've worked on, but there are new things that come up sometimes, and immediately I will not immediately. I won't lie and say immediately, but I will ask myself, do I really miss that? Can I not see that anywhere? You know, and I'll make a note of it sometimes if I'm very emotional about it. And I'll go, right, it's what I'll work through. And sometimes I'll do it on my own. Sometimes I do it with my coach, because obviously now I'm a lot less emotional. I can work through some of the things on my own. But, you know, to the point where certain words are said to me that I'll be like, oh, my mum, you know, and the thing is, like, I can't help but smile at the individual who's playing that role at the moment. And those who don't know, you know, go, well, what's wrong with you? Why are you smiling at me like that? You know? And I just go, hi, mum. And they go, what do you mean? And I go, it's just my mum showing up there, you know, through you. Even a message that came to me, I remember my friend's mum who sent it said, I don't know where this message came from. I feel like I just channeled it through. And the words, she'd picked certain prayers from the Sikh holy book. They were the ones my mum would say. Like, you can't, I'm gonna use this word, you can't fuck this up.
You can't.
Right?
I mean, people will go through really bad stuff, but you've got to understand that there's a divine order, and somewhere, somehow, that's designed to improve your life. If you can't see it, and I often say to people, look, when the shit hits the fan, right? Going to the gym, if you've not been for ages, what happens? Is it comfortable or uncomfortable? It's uncomfortable, right? Is it good for you? Yes. If you haven't done it for ages, so right now, most human beings have got no concept of no loss without gain. And it's a concept and an idea. Once you embrace it and understand it, it can completely transform your life. As far as every time there is a tragedy, if you collapse, how is that productive? Yeah. So many people might be listening to this and thinking, you know what? I'm still holding on to my loss. If that's the case, know that there are solutions. You don't have to be that way.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you know, it is always a choice. You know, and sometimes, yes, you got to be ready for it. But I've worked through people holding on to grief, and they go, no, you're meant to grieve for a year. You know, I'm like, according to who? You know, I mean, I don't know of any more powerful way that I can honor my mum than to be connected with her every single day since she's transformed in a form that if I choose to look at, she's there.
Oh, yeah.
And even, you know, like I said, these people that have shown up before this interview, that's my mum. You know, I'm connected to her. So why would I say, you know, I could be, oh, I miss the fact that my mum didn't wish me good luck today before my first comeback interview. You know, or I can choose to go, wow, mum, thanks for sending your message through so and so.
Yeah.
You know, and it's that connection that, you know, because Dizzy, I ask everybody this, and so does, you know, John Demartini as well. It's like, what do you want to do when you die? Do you want people to grieve you and cry for you, or do you want them to celebrate you and then see you in their life moving forward and carry on their own personal mission? Because I know my mum, she made me promise her that in 2017, because that's how she knew she connected with her mum. and she wanted me to do the same. And I tell you, from 2017 to now, I used to say to her, Mum, it's Nani's death anniversary. So are you gonna cry? I joke about it. I go, are you gonna cry? She's like, no, I feel their presence. Because then my mum used to say to me, when I used to like say something and argue, or I'd say, do this, and she goes, oh my God, where's my mum come back from? And I'll be like, oh, so I'm doing Nani now, right? So she saw that, and she just wanted me to experience that. And I know not only does she want me to experience that, but me sharing this today is through her strength that she's given me to share it. And I know that she, through her passing, transcending, is impacting so many people. Of course, because I've shared her video, I've shared, look,
our interview is because of her.
Yep.
We don't know what impact this interview is going to have on the world.
No.
How many people will be impacted based on your mom?
Yeah, it's just the ripple effect.
She's still living her purpose.
Absolutely.
Through us. Amazing.
Yeah, and she's an awesome mum in that form.
Oh yeah.
She was
amazing. She was a party animal too. She didn't care. And she'd tell you straight to your face exactly. She didn't like my beard. Hey, got your beard off now.
Cut it off.
You have a nice face. I do have a nice face.
Yeah, she was straight. She just knew that she was that ultimate authenticity. If she's got something with you, she'll tell you to your face. She's not gonna talk about you behind your back. She'll tell you. But yeah, she's definitely left a legacy. She's as of course, because I've gone through her stuff as well. She wanted to write through one of my workshops. She came to a realization she'd love to write a book of her recipes.
Okay.
So I found the book.
All right.
And I will be looking to publish that in her memory. And well, it's written, so I have to do some work on it and get it done. But it's still going to live on. And I know so many people that would love their food and would love a recipe. And more ideas are coming around that, on how her legacy through that can live on. Her legacy still lives on in her other form of where she was a headmistress and she was teaching. Again, I've taken so much of that on in mine. I'm like playing that role of her, that's come through her, which is the teaching. But people reached out to me that were, teachers with her, saying how students of her time were like, oh, that ma'am passed. Like, I am doing this today because of what she did with me. And my mom was quite strict. She used to say to me, she goes, I could handle all the children, I can't handle you. She's like, but that impact, I was in awe of when I was hearing of the passing of some people reaching out. Your mum gave me the first break in doing this with her Punjabi group. I came to, show them how to do jewelry making. And I was like, wow, like my mum, I didn't know about some of these things. So to hear it and see it, I was in tears of inspiration for the life my mum lived, and perfectly dying. A day before my birthday was the one that my last emotional breakthrough before the funeral, because that was hard. That was a big why. There was a question, there was a why, there was a resentment towards the divine, there was a like, how could you do that to me, mom? Why are you choosing to go? All those emotions around that, until I absolutely saw that even though she had the scare a couple of weeks ago, she hung on all the way to complete 38 years with me, and literally rebirthed me at 39.
Yeah.
She gave me birth 39 years ago, and she rebirthed me then. And it's a complete, I'm so grateful for not many people, you know, live at home with their parents, you know, and I lived not 39 years with her and my dad so far, you know, and the experiences and time that I've had with them both. I know, you know, my siblings haven't had that because they moved out whenever they did. But again, because I was there, they never had that one-on-one time with them, you know. There's nothing that can replace that, you know, in terms of what I've learned, what I've experienced with them. That's going to go on through generations, you know, to my kids and their kids and their kids. And yeah, no one can take that away. You know, we say no one can ever take away your love and wisdom.
Yeah.
And that her wisdom and her love will definitely be passed through.
So to summarize, you know, if you have people you love around you, be honest with them, because the guilt will be there if they pass and you haven't said things to them. I remember there's a movie with Dustin Hoffman called Little Big Man,
Mm-hmm.
where he gets kidnapped by the Indians as a child, and then he starts living with the Indians and they turn him into an Indian.
Mm.
And when he'd sit with the chief would always say to him, "Today's a good day to die." And the moral of that story is, if you've said everything you need to say to people, as in you don't hold anything back, if you're being honest with people and you tell them the truth and you speak your heart with everybody you meet all the time, and you don't let anything there that you don't want to, you know, if there's things that you want to say but you have fears on how to say it, heaven forbid, if that person then goes, you're going to be holding a lot of guilt because you never got a chance to say these things. So the moral of the story is, people are going to be here forever. Okay. The question is, are you going to embrace them while they're here in the physical form? Because everyone's there to be loved, and everything is love. So you can't be scared of the people you love. Tell them you love them, because how do you know when you're going to see them next? I remember in South Africa when I was held at gunpoint in a petrol station.
Mm.
I came home and I was like, wow, if I'd have got shot, nobody would have known, because I used to speak to my parents once every 3 months.
Mm.
I wouldn't speak to anybody because I was doing my own thing. But if I'd have got shot dead, nobody would have found out. And then what would have happened? All these ideas I had. After that, I remember after that event at the petrol station, I went home and designed a seminar. I started writing my book. I mean, the thing is, you can never ever kill me now. I've got too much stuff. I've got too much stuff that's going out. I mean, this is my first interview after. I mean, I've got 23 interviews I did um, in South Africa. Amazing, amazing interviews.
Yeah.
And obviously, you came out to South Africa. You were the only person that actually came to visit me in the time I was there. And you know, the what's available for people in the world is, I mean, for me, it's it's the best time to ever live on the earth right now. It's
Yeah.
the best time to ever live. For people who say, "Oh, what about COVID and all of that?" Listen, what is available now as far as knowledge and information, what we've shared here today, if you were to look into and this subject, it's going to benefit you. Why? Because someone you love, you're going to lose them. Yeah.
I think
I have a son now, but I'm not going to talk about this.
that's
This
going to
is
be.
going to continue. So, as a son, sorry, as a father, I have a son, and your children are very precious to you. But I did an exercise when he was 3 months old. Okay, so if you want to know about this exercise, you'll have to catch it next time, eh? Because I can't tell you everything today. Yeah. But
But
Manmeet, listen, I want to say thank you for asking me to be the person, and thank you for agreeing to be the person I'm going to interview, because I'm going to launch something called Discussions with So this is a discussion with Dizzy and
This is the
Manmeet.
first one. Yeah.
And it's a discussion on something that's very, very dear and important to every human being that's born. Because I remember learning when I was young that you're born alone, you die alone, and there are going to be people in between, your parents, brothers, sisters, and they all have a role, and you're all together, but you can work everything out. Everything's always going to serve you.
That's it. And
Even
those
if you
people that
argue.
we see on those on that journey, you know, between the born alone and die alone, those people who come in that have that role, they will enter and exit your life when it's perfect for you too. Because a lot of people think, you know, like if I was to say intellectually as well, just about my mum, like, you know, oh yeah, if she'd lived, let's say she'd had all these things, issues going on, oh, better she went now than, you know, stayed. But that doesn't do anything for me. Like that doesn't make the grief any better for me until I see how her exit in this form has been absolutely perfect for my life, just as much as hers, and as much as perfect for my dad's, for my brothers, for everybody around, whether they choose to see it or not. You know, the thing is, like, you know, a lot of people sometimes also say, well, you must be the perfect person to help everybody else through it. You know, and I want one of my first ever interviews I ever did on Seek Entrepreneur asked me, what's the hardest part of what you do? And I said, wanting to help people that don't want to help themselves. Because I might be the perfect person to help everybody out there that's going through grief, but they need to want it. They need to want to drink the water if I'm leading them to it.
Yeah.
You know, so, but as you said, you know, there is only love there. And when we're talking about love, Diz, I just want to, you know, let people know that we're talking about seeing the two sides of something, because when you truly have love and gratitude for something, you're not elated and infatuated, or you're not resentful. You know, you really are seeing that love there. And in my mum's passing and transcending, I see her love for me. I'm grateful she passed when she passed, for her and for me. And I never thought that I would be able to say that. If you'd asked me 10, 15 years ago, your mom is going to die in 15 years, how are you going to be? I would never have been able to say that.
Yeah, no, it can almost come across as cold-hearted
Yeah.
if you don't cry and mourn. I'm not going to mourn anybody, because I'm going to celebrate them. I'm grateful they came into my life and shared however many years or moments with me, and I will embrace that, because there's, like you said, there's no loss, but it's something you have to believe and understand.
But we don't want people to mourn our loss. So why, like, that's what I'm saying. When you're asked that question, when you pass, what do you want people to do? You wouldn't say, I want them to mourn me. You say you want them to celebrate me. So why is those individuals that pass or transcend, like, why is it any different for them? They want the same thing from us. So we owe it to them in an honor of their life to love their part in our journey, to be grateful for that part, and, you know, be able to use it as fuel rather than, you know, have it as baggage that's holding you back. Like, I'm using this as fuel to help more people because I know that's what my mum would want. I know that that's what I would love to do, and she is in service in those, you know, times. So how can I not, you know?
How can you not?
Yeah. We'll just have a look at a couple of things here, because we got the Facebook and, oh wow, Insta Live. Got a lovely comments here. There's a lot of people joining us on both. Thank you for sharing this experience.
Anyone got any questions?
Yeah, if anyone's got any questions, please holler. Like me trying to do. Yeah, we got a lot of here on Instagram. Any other questions? People saying I'm reliving similar events when my husband passed away, same scenario. Yeah. Look, guys, the guys who, some people are messaging, you know, saying about guilt, you know, holding on to a lot of this guilt when people have passed. You can't mess it up. You really can't. And I think, you know, it's going to be important for us to, you know, deal with that as well, because otherwise you hold on to, you see, that's why I said before, just to reiterate this point, our grief is equivalent to the guilt we hold on to.
Mm.
You're only grieving because there's hidden guilt and shame where you think you messed up while this person was alive. And when you really look at that scenario and you see the true love sitting there,
Yeah.
that helps you move through the other pieces of grief, because that's, otherwise, like you said, that's the baggage that holds you back to even want, you know, and then you think, oh, if I don't grieve now, I'm going to feel guilty for not grieving because I didn't do that in the past as well. And it's just a cycle and cycle. And, you know, this is something, you know, I definitely want to help people with.
Cool. So this is going to have to be to be continued. Yeah, because like I said, I did a process on my son. And if any of you out there are parents, you know, losing a child is worse than losing a parent, you know, because you have so many hopes and dreams for them. But like I said, to be continued. I have done a process myself. I mean, I love my son more than anything in the world. But like I said, I'll share what I've done myself. It's not, my wife doesn't agree with it. However, I did say to my wife when we met, I said, look, you need to do a Demartini course, yeah, before we allude into the future, because you're going to think I'm a lunatic otherwise. And John is a lunatic. He's an absolute psychopath about knowledge and wisdom.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm looking forward to be able to do more courses with John, because I'm in a better position now. I can do whatever I want.
Yeah.
So yeah, I know where I'm going to spend some money, and I want to spend some time with Mr. Johnny Boy,
Of
John
course.
Demartini. If you watch this, mate, I'm coming for you soon, mate.
I'll send in the interview. I'm sure we'll be like, okay, I'm looking forward to it.
I need to do. I want to do all of them. I want to do prophecy, Empyreans. I mean, if you guys are into intellect, okay, because John Demartini, mate, he's a gangster, mate. He can drop some bars, mate.
You can indeed. I'm very, very grateful to, I mean, even during my mum's transcending, he was, you know, on the other side of an email to me and told him what we were going through. You know, even when she was having the COVID, he was giving advice to me about what I couldn't do, and, you know, but and when and I sent him through the videos as well of my eulogy, and, you know, the whole funeral, and he was, you know, he sat back and he said, this is very inspiring, mummy, and, you know, he said it's going to touch many people, and I know you'll be able to help so many more having gone through this experience.
Oh yeah.
Because, you know, when I shared what I shared with him as well, like the lost workshop I did last year in COVID, I was saying to him, I was like, John, I'm really busy with people having gone through loss, and it's just something I just thought of putting on at the time. And he was like, yep, none of my facilitators have done that yet, but it was something I was so inspired, and I sent him through, you know, the results we got with his process, you know, and credit due where it's you know, worthy of. And he has done an amazing job coming up with this process that you can use on not only anything you think is lost, but anything you think is missing. When you really just go, whoa, I thought that was missing all my life. You know, there's a loss side of things, Dizzy, but there's the part that he's also created, which is the gain, where you think you've gained something in your life. You follow the process and you will see where it's been throughout your whole life, all the way back to birth, you know. And you can't, like, when you see that, you can't undo it. You really just can't undo it. And that's what gives you the certainty about moving forward, when you go, well, it's always been there in another form, it's been transforming throughout my life.
Yeah.
How is it going to be any different in the future? You know, and that's why I love bringing this work equally to people as well. So
Cool. Well, it's been an hour and 43 minutes. And I know I can hear movement outside the door because my son's going for a bath, and I'm in their room. I'm in my son's room right now.
Well, when you said you know, Jay thought you were psycho or something, right? She commented and said that she still thinks that. Just so you know. Yeah. So
It's been a beautiful journey.
thank you so much, Dizzy, for the opportunity.
Well, thank you, and thank your mum, because
Absolutely.
without her, none of this would have been possible.
I would not have been possible.
Yeah.
Without my mum and my dad. And I do it on all my workshops. But I truly, you know, if they weren't the parents allowing my brother, myself, any of the children, but to follow what was important, you know, do you think they thought I was a bit psycho at times going through my journey? Absolutely. But the biggest gift that, you know, they give me as their child is allowing me to do what it is I love to do. You know, they might not agree at times, but they know it's my journey, and they allow me to go through that, rather than the you should do this and you shouldn't do that. They go, all right, you'll learn, you know, and whatever you got to learn will be a blessing and a lesson, which I call blessings.
Blessings.
And
well, I mean, look, being a father, it excites me that I can pass on this to my son.
absolutely.
And I mean, he's only 5. And the thing is, when should we give him this information? And I said to my wife, give it him now.
Oh, don't underestimate the children. They're in so much more.
Yeah. So, I mean, knowing this information and knowing more, I mean, if you're listening to this and you like what you've heard, find out more. It's a subject worth knowing, because it's about you and how your life is going to work and what level you can operate on. I mean, if you could work at the optimum level of life, surely you'd want to do that, right? So there is a way of living the optimum life. I'm not just saying that because your company called Optimum.
But I called it that because of what you're saying. That's exactly why, because I was like, okay, well, you know, it's possible to do that. It's not about being this high or low, it's this optimum level of life where you just strip back the emotions of difficulties we go through, you know, guaranteed challenges, and you just get back into action. I mean, you know, it's inspiring to be, you know, doing what I was doing even the last few weeks. It's not that I haven't worked, I have, you know, I've been coaching my current clients and things, but publicly I haven't done anything, you know, and it's just inspiring to get back into action, serve, do my mission, continue it, because I know by me doing that, I'm living my mom's mission, but I know that she'd be just as inspired for me to get back to serving people, because she knew that that was very important to me.
Yes. So, on that note, Manmeet, I'll let you have the last word. I want to thank everyone who's been on the call today. I hope you've been inspired, moved, touched. And if you need more assistance, myself and Manmeet are available for more information. If you want to delve deeper into your life, not your wife, life, I said, yeah. Just joking. So yeah, that's it.
Well, thank you very much, Dizzy.
So quickly, what's the artwork behind you? I mean, you mentioned earlier.
Oh, this love and gratitude. Very quickly, I was at a wedding and I was getting my henna done, and I usually get the words love and gratitude written in it, because at the time I didn't have a tattoo and I wanted that, but obviously I went and got my tattoo. So I used to get it in the henna designs, and the lady who was doing my henna design at the time, she said to me, why these words? And I shared a little bit about, you know, everything's on the way, it's never in the way. When you find the love and gratitude, you find blessings in your hidden crisis. And she just went, yeah, that's great, but it doesn't apply to my husband. And she said, and I just said to her, I said, how long is it going to take you to do my design? And she said, about 10 minutes. I said, do you mind me asking you a few questions as you do the design? And I just literally asked a couple of questions and changed her perception on something she was judging in her husband about what he was doing. And she just got it. And she had this tear of gratitude for her husband while she was doing my henna. And this was just a random individual, but it was, and again, you know, like you said, this interview, we don't know who's going to impact. I know I had an impact on her when I had that conversation. To what degree, I didn't know.
Yeah. She
found me on Instagram. She asked me for my address, and I was like, why do we need my address? Like, you know, the stalker or something. But anyway, she goes, no, I want to send you something. And so she sent me these 2 placards with a beautiful note. And it just said, you know, your 10 to 15 minute conversation with me allowed me to see the true meaning of love and gratitude. And you've changed my life in a way I don't think you will ever know, but here's a token of appreciation.
Wow.
And I have them on my videos. I mean, it's beautifully done. And I have them there as a beautiful, you know, background, but also to remind me that I can transform lives one conversation at a time.
Yes, you can.
Yeah, so
we'll end on that note. It's May the 2nd, and may the 2nd be inspiring. May everything come true that you want.
I just want to say one thing, Diz. I just want to say thank you to you for doing the interview, and I think for the person who introduced me to this work, there was no one perfect other than you to do this. So thank you for taking out the time. I know how much Sunday is a family day for you as well. Thank you to your wife, Jay, and your son, Jaden, for giving you to me for this time.
Yes.
For doing
it was for your mum as well, don't forget.
It was for my mum, yeah. And thank you to everybody who's joined us on Facebook, Instagram. I will post this video on YouTube, so anybody who wants to send it on to anyone that you think it can make an impact on, please feel free to do so, because that's why, you know, we're here. And lastly, thank you, Mum, for allowing me to have the pleasure and pain of me calling myself your daughter in this physical form. And I continue to be your daughter, spiritual form now. Thank you.
Wonderful. Very good, Manmeet. You did a very good job.
Thank you.
You're going to be very proud.
There you go. There's my mum. All right. Thank you very much, everybody. Let me just finish this. 1 second.